or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Elaine, and for the next hour I'll be reading from the July 5th, 2026 issue of the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And first, Flick Picks. For loyal fans of the Netflix movie Set It Up, it's a great time to catch Glenn Powell and Zoe Deutsch, each starring in very different new streaming movies. Powell plays a dude out to execute family members in the dark comedy How to Make a Killing, while Deutsch is a young woman using confessional missives to cope with her sister's death in the rom-com Voicemails for Isabel. Disney Plus, Hulu, Tubi, Peacock, and HBO Max all have flicks to check out, including a high school comedy with a grown-up twist and a Taye Diggs psychological thriller. Here are 10 new and notable movies that you can screen right now. Hoppers, the Pixar movie. A quirky and subversive sense of humor sparks the hilarious sci-fi comedy. Mabel, voiced by Piper Curda, has her mind hopped into a robotic beaver in order to stop a highway overpass from being built. She learns a ton about nature and as an undercover critter, and ends up needing to help her nemesis, the city's greedy mayor, John Hamm. Where to watch? Disney Plus. How to Make a Killing. Glenn Powell has a killer role in this quirky comedic and satirical thriller. Disowned by his super wealthy family, Beckett acts out his dying mother's final wish that he have the right kind of life, and sets out to assassinate a handful of relatives, including Topher Grace and Zach Woods, to inherit an 11-figure fortune. Where to watch this one? HBO Max. And I Am Frankelda. Fans of Guillermo del Toro and little ones who are horror curious will appreciate this Mexican stop-motion animated dark musical fantasy. In a realm fueled by human fear, a prince, Arturo Mercado Jr., recruits a gifted teenage writer, Maria Mendoza, to be a royal nightmare maker, opening her eyes to a wondrous landscape. And that can be watched on Netflix. Scarlet. Inspired by Shakespeare's Hamlet, the Japanese animated fantasy centers on Scarlet, a 16th century princess who fails to save her father from being murdered and winds up herself in the underworld, where she meets allies such as modern-day paramedic and goes on a quest to avenge her dad. And where to watch is Netflix. Never Change. This rowdy comedy with an ensemble cast, including Sophia Black-D'Elia and Severance star Zach Cherry, puts a spin on the teen movie. Thanks to a legal technicality, a group of 35-year-olds whose senior year was cut short by a tornado are forced to go back to high school, giving them another chance at everything from the school play to lost loves. Where to watch? Hulu. And next, Lorne. Saturday Night Live honcho Lorne Michaels is a reclusive private guy. So while Morgan Neville's documentary does reveal some details about the legendary TV producer, he owns a Maine blueberry farm, it also acts as a really interesting behind-the-scenes look at the history of SNL and how Michaels runs it. And that can be watched on Peacock. And then we have Stepfather. Taye Diggs gets freaky in this psychological thriller, playing a killer seeking the perfect family after his traumatic childhood. His murderous methods, marrying widows and becoming a stepfather to their kids before offing them. However, his streak is threatened by a feisty new wife and distrusting stepdaughter. You can watch that on Tubi. And next, They Will Kill You, a mix of Kill Bill, Ready or Not, and a Looney Tunes cartoon. The action-packed horror comedy stars Zazie Beetz as an ex-con who takes a job as a housekeeper in an upscale Manhattan high-rise. It turns out the place is a temple of Satan, and she has to fight off being sacrificed by a bunch of immortal jerks. Where to watch? On HBO Max. And finally, Voicemails for Isabel. Walking a tightrope of humor and tragedy, this rom-com stars Zoe Deutsch as aspiring San Francisco chef Jill, who deals with her younger sister's death by leaving her life updates voicemails. They wind up going to the work phone of Texas real estate agent Wes, Nick Robinson, who becomes invested in the drama and falls for Jill's honest personality, and that can be watched on Netflix. And in music, An Evening with Barry Manilow. Legendary singer-songwriter Barry Manilow made a stop at KeyBank Center on Tuesday as part of what is being billed as his farewell tour before beginning a record-setting residency in Las Vegas through the remainder of 2026. The Buffalo show had originally been scheduled in April but was postponed due to doctor's orders after the singer underwent successful surgery for lung cancer. Manilow, age 83, is a Grammy, Tony, and Emmy-winning performer with a career spanning more than 6 decades, 52 top 40 singles, and 13 number 1 hits, including Copacabana, I Write the Songs, and Mandy, and is considered to be one of the most successful entertainers in modern pop music. And now a guide to festivals, fairs, and carnivals in July. Welcome to July, also known as Festival Month. More than 40 events and counting are packing weekends in July, including food festivals such as Taste of Buffalo, Burger Fest, Niagara County Italian Festival, community festivities such as Brighton Music Festival, Canal Fest, Perry Chalk Fest, and at least 3 fairs, Genesee, Chautauqua, and Orleans counties, plus garden walks and cultural events. And this is a look at what's upcoming in the next week or so, starting with a quick roundup of some 4th of July weekend long festivals, and then followed by a calendar of later July events. Great Blue Heron Music Festival. That wraps up today. At Heron Farm and Event Center, 2361 Waits Corner Road in Sherman. There's 4 stages of music, arts and craft vendors, kids activities, and healing arts workshops. Great Pumpkin Farm Carnival ends today at the Great Pumpkin Farm and Clarence Center with rides, face painting, balloon art, carnival food, and fireworks were tonight, July 5th. Sterling Renaissance Festival opens for the season on July 4th, continuing weekends only through August 15th in Sterling. Visitors come from around the country to be transported to a 16th century English village at this annual festival, one of the oldest of its kind. You'll experience the sights, sounds, and tastes, such as giant turkey legs, of an Elizabethan village in the year 1585 through the 35-acre theme park. You can watch jousting tournaments, reenactments, fire breathers, and interactive theater. Hours are 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays. And you can visit sterlingfestival.com. Brighton Field Days, 6 p.m. Friday at the Brighton Volunteer Fire Company, 5 at 50 Jamaica Road, Tonawanda. You can support volunteer firefighters at this annual event that has food, drinks, and entertainment with music by Dave Viterna and Nerds Gone Wild. Admission is $5. You must be 21 and older. Queen of Heaven Carnival, 5 p.m. to midnight on Friday, noon to midnight on Saturday, and noon to 9 p.m. next Sunday at Queen of Heaven Church, 4220 Seneca Street, West Seneca. There's carnival food, midway rides, games of chance, live music, and among the entertainers on the main stage in the beer tents are the Strictly Hip at 7 p.m. Friday, Hit and Run, 7 p.m. Saturday, and Cammie Clune doing her Taylor Swift tribute at noon on next Sunday. There's a free shuttle bus from the East Seneca Senior High School parking at 4760 Seneca Street. Taste of Buffalo, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday and 11 to 7 p.m. next Sunday along Delaware Avenue near Niagara Square toward Chippewa Street. Food and beverage tickets are sold at the ticket booths in $7 sheets of 10 tickets, and each item ranges between 4 and 10 tickets. You can try items from 42 restaurants and food trucks, with 13 being new to the festival, and 4 New York State wineries. There's family activities in the Kids Village and interactive experience zone, including the music and art instrument zoo, and the Dreamy Buffalo Slime Station. The new Taste Marketplace hosts vendors, artisans, and other retail concepts. You can get full details at tasteofbuffalo.com. An Olcott Pirate Festival, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Krull Park and the Olcott Beach Carousel Park in Olcott. Wear your pirate costume for this weekend of family fun that has pirate reenactors, rides, pony rides, entertainment, and food. The grounds open Saturday with the annual parade and car show, and final full hours are 6 p.m. to midnight on Friday, noon to midnight on Saturday, and noon to 6 p.m. on Sunday. Hamburg Garden Walk, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. Self-guided tours of village gardens, plus a garden-themed vendor fair. Events held in Memorial Park and throughout the village. And then we have the Perry Chalk Festival, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Saturday at 36 to 38 South Main Street, Perry. The 20th annual festival has music, food, homegrown produce, and gifts. And also, quickly coming up in July, the 14th to the 17th, Old Home Days in the Island Park in the village of Williamsville. July 16th, 716 Community Day, 3 to 7 p.m. at MLK Junior Park. July 17th to 19th, Niagara County Italian Festival in Lewiston. Also, July 17 to 19, St. John Paul II Parish Lawn Fete at Lakeview Road, Lakeview. Grease Pole Festival, July 17th to 19th, in Pucho Olivencia Community Center, 261 Swan Street. There's Burger Fest, July 18th, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. along Main and Buffalo Streets in Hamburg. And East Side Garden Walk, 10 to 4 through Buffalo's East Side, July 18th and 19th. July 18th to 25th, Genesee County Fair. 5056 East Main Street in Batavia. And there's Parkside Porch Fest, July 18th, 1 to 6 p.m. throughout the Parkside neighborhood. Orchard Park Jazz Festival, also on July 18th, 4 to 9 p.m. at the Quaker Arts Pavilion, 60 School Street, Orchard Park. And Quaker Days Festival, July 18th to 26th, which is a variety of events held daily throughout the village of Orchard Park. July 19th to 25th, Canal Fest on the River in Grotwork Park, North Tonawanda. Pappy Martin Legacy Maston Jazz Festival, 2 to 8 p.m., July 19th and 26th on the Buffalo Museum of Science lawn, 1020 Humboldt Parkway. July 22nd, Taste of Orchard Park, 5 to 9 p.m. on North Buffalo Street. July 21st to 26th, Chautauqua County Fair in Dunkirk. July 25th to 26th, Buffalo Garden Walk, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily. July 25th and 26th, also Old Olcott Days, Old Log Cabin, 6161 East Main Street in Olcott. July 27th to 29th, Kingdom Bound, Darien Lake Amphitheater, and July 27th to August 1st, Orleans County 4-H Fair at Route 31, Albion. And now, fire up the fun with some barbecue ideas, summer barbecue ideas. Much like fireworks and hot dog eating contests are synonymous with the 4th of July, barbecue is synonymous with summer. With warmer weather, schools on hiatus, and vacation days being used, uniting friends and family for outdoor feasting is an opportunity not to be missed. Recently, barbecue has taken a creative turn, adopting trends and tastes from many cultures and regional cuisines. Before the summer slips away, treat your company to a barbecue bonanza to fill their bellies and memories. First up, bringing Brazilian barbecue to the backyard. While you may not have a luxury of a full-weight staff trained and adept at slicing sections of juicy meats to each of your guests, you can mimic the Brazilian or churrasco barbecue from home. In terms of meat dishes, you can cook several classic Brazilian options using simple bamboo skewers. Espetogrill.com, E-S-P-E-T-O grill.com, suggests going with garlic sirloin churrasco, usually prepared with a combination of vegetable oil, water, garlic, lime juice, and coarse sea salt, and cutting the meat into 1 to 2 inch cubes, marinating for up to 20 minutes before grilling. In addition to one or more meat dishes, include Brazilian cheese bread, polenta, and rice, among other staples, to add authenticity and deliciousness to your Brazilian barbecue experience. And then crafting the perfect Korean barbecue. Part of the Korean barbecue experience is sharing in the actual cooking experience at the table. So while you certainly can grill many Korean barbecue dishes on the outdoor barbecue grill, gathering around a tabletop grill is a more traditional experience. And among Korean barbecue meats, bulgogi is perhaps one of the most popular and well-known. The recipe typically consists of marinated and thinly sliced beef, such as ribeye and sirloin steaks, A host of other items usually go into the traditional Korean barbecue meal, including kimchi, made with Napa cabbage, often seasoned with salt, sugar, scallions, ginger, garlic, and Korean red pepper powder. Steamed egg, corn cheese, and fish cakes are examples. And once you have your lineup of Korean barbecue cooking elements, make sure to acquire the necessary table tools for guests, such as chopsticks and tongs for cooking and retrieving the items off the grill. And third, catering a Caribbean encounter. Some of barbecue's earliest origins come from the Caribbean, and while the flavors of the island region vary depending on locales, one recipe commonly shared is jerk seasoning. Many jerk seasonings consist of combinations of onion or onion powder, garlic or garlic powder, allspice, cloves, ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, thyme, and pepper, sometimes adding elements such as scallions, berries, and chilies. The key most Caribbean barbecue enthusiasts recommend is that once you've finished coating your desired grill item with jerk seasoning, let it marinate overnight in the refrigerator. A major plus of jerk seasoning is its versatility. It can coat chicken, seafood, shrimp is especially tasty, and even vegetables. To round out the rest of your island-inspired menu, you can add Caribbean barbecue favorites like grilled corn and pineapple and more. And then finally, stateside barbecue staples. From the time barbecue was adopted in the U.S. to now, the best regional barbecue styles remain a topic of heated debate, with the most popular being Texas, the Carolinas, Memphis, and Kansas City. This summer, consider taking this quad regional debate to your own backyard for a battle of the backyard barbecue. Group guests according to barbecue region and have them grill to their heart's content. After sampling the fruits or meats of their labor, everyone can decide which style is the best. Texas claims a steak on sweet and hot brisket. The Carolinas are known for their pulled pork, Memphis for smoked meat renditions, and Kansas City for its burnt ends. When plotting menu items, be sure to put great thought into differentiating barbecue sauces and sides, with examples such as fried okra, corn pudding, potato salad, and baked beans. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And what to watch on Sunday, July 5th? Well, the times given are Eastern. MLB Baseball, NBC beginning at noon. Live, NBC airs an MLB matinee with the New York Mets visiting the Atlanta Braves. The holiday weekend wraps up with a Sunday night baseball clash between NL West rivals as Manny Machado and the San Diego Padres take on Freddie Freeman and the Dodgers in Los Angeles. NTT IndyCar Series, Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio on Fox at 12:30 p.m. Live. Alex Palou, Kyle Kirkwood, David Malukas, Christian Lundegaard, Pato Award, and IndyCar's best drivers compete in the 2.258-mile, 13-turn Mid-Ohio sports car course. NASCAR Cup Series, TNT and True TV, 6 p.m. live. The Cup Series returns to Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois, as top drivers Kyle Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Ty Gibbs, and Kyle Larson battle for 267 laps in a NASCAR in-season challenge race. And Patience on PBS at 8 p.m. In the new episode, The Timetable, a young autistic girl witnesses her father's murder at the Railway Museum, but is unable to tell anyone what happened. Patience, Ella Maisie Purvis, connects with her and makes a breakthrough in the case. And Hammerhead Sharks up close with Bertie Gregory, Nat Geo at 9 p.m. Bertie Gregory kicks off Nat Geo's 2026 Shark Fest with a new special that takes the wildlife cinematographer to Mexico's Pacific waters in search of the rare hammerhead shark. And also on PBS at 9 p.m., Grant Chester. In this new episode, Alfie's trip to reconcile with his mother takes a shocking turn when a passenger on the train is murdered and Alfie becomes the prime suspect. And also catch a classic, Bringing Up Baby at TCM at noon. The undisputed gold standard of the screwball comedy genre, Howard Hawks' Bringing Up Baby, 1938, pairs delightfully unhinged socialite Susan Vance, played by Katharine Hepburn, and with hilariously flustered Dr. David Huxley, Cary Grant, in a tale of a mild-mannered paleontologist whose life is appended by an eccentric heiress and her pet leopard baby. While now considered a master class in rapid-fire dialogue, impeccable physical comedy, and undeniable star chemistry, the film's path to legendary status was anything but a straight line. Upon its initial release, the film was a notorious commercial flop, and Hepburn was labeled box office poison. But history has proved differently, both for Hepburn and the film, as Bringing Up Baby has appeared on numerous lists of the greatest American films of all time and was selected for preservation in the Library of Congress's National Film Registry in 1990. And also Movies You'll Love, Jaws, on AMC at 6 p.m., National Lampoon's Vacation, CMT at 6 p.m., Rambo First Blood Part 2, on BBC America at 6 p.m. And Finding Nemo is on Disney at 7 p.m. Superman the Movie on CW at 7 p.m. Ratatouille, Freeform, 7:15 p.m. Blackmail, Lies, and Murders, LMN, 8 p.m. Red Tails, FXM, 8 p.m. A Knight's Tale, Sundance, 8:30 p.m. The Sandlot on ABC at 9 p.m. Roadhouse on TNT at 9:30 p.m., Daddy Day Camp, VH1, 10:30 p.m., and The Fugitive on AMC at 11:30 p.m. And hints from Heloise. Dear Heloise, the cottonwood trees are busy shedding at this time of year. My husband and I have a screened-in porch. He'd spend hours and use up lots of lake water when washing the screens after the shedding was done. When he passed away, I knew that I wouldn't be able to do this task, as he did it for numerous reasons. So I found a regular old dust mop, and I use it to wipe down the screens. It was a great deal quicker and much more efficient method than using water and a hose. And should teens get jobs? Dear Heloise, I had to write in response to this statement from a child psychologist. One of the best things you can do for your child is insist that they work during the summer vacation from school. No, please. School is difficult and stressful. Work is difficult and stressful. A person has the potential of a long adult life to shoulder the responsibility of employment, earning, and everything else that comes with adulthood. Some of my most cherished, irreplaceable memories are summer vacations where the last school bell finally rang and we were free, joyfully free, to play, explore, and learn life lessons. They'll never learn these lessons by wiping down hubcaps day in and day out until school starts again. I grew up and became a responsible worker, parent, and member of the community. Now I'm happily retired. Believe me, 40 years in the workforce is long enough. When summer comes, set them free. And this was from LG in California. And the response is, LG, I disagree. It's never too early to teach your children that money doesn't grow on trees and doesn't go as far as they think it will. Far too many people live paycheck to paycheck, and too many folks think that they need to have all the latest gadgets. No one asks themselves important questions such as, can I really afford this? If I buy this item, what other things do I have to do without? Do I really need this, or am I trying to impress someone? Is it better to save this money for college, a car, or a house? So tell your children to get a seasonal or part-time job and start earning money for some of the things that they want. Learning to budget is a very valuable life lesson. That was from Heloise. Dear Heloise, I just wanted to comment on the child psychologist who wrote about parents not wanting their teenager to have a summer job. I am 68 years old and can attest to the importance of teaching young people the value of a day's work. I was never required to have a summer job as a teen. If I needed money for the movies, roller skating, or a school outing, my folks just handed me the cash. As a result, when I got my first job, I didn't do a great job of saving, just spending. When I got married, I was fortunate that my husband had worked as a teen and knew the value of saving and the pitfalls of debt. Thankfully, he taught me the value of budgeting. We made sure we taught our children the value of work, saving, and budgeting. I enjoy your column in the Kenosha News. And today in history, Sunday, July 5th, in 1687, Isaac Newton first published his 3-volume Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, which expanded on his theories of bodily motion and universal gravity. The Principia is considered one of the most important works of science. In 1946, French engineer and fashion designer Louis Réard revealed the first modern bikini at a public pool in Paris. In 1950, Israel's parliament passed its law of return, which bestowed people who were Jewish or with one or more Jewish grandparents the right to acquire Israeli citizenship. 1950, Task Force Smith, an American infantry unit, clashed with North Korean forces at Osan, South Korea, in what is known as the first engagement between the two nations in the Korean War. And President Richard Nixon signed the 26th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution into law after it was ratified and approved by Congress. It granted voting rights to citizens age 18 and older, and this was in 1971. 1975, Arthur Ashe became the first black man to win Wimbledon after defeating Jimmy Connors. 1994, Jeff Bezos incorporated a company called Cadabra, Inc., and a few months later changed the name of the company to Amazon. And finally, in 1996, Dolly, a sheep who was first successfully cloned mammal from an adult cell, was born in the Roslin Institute near Edinburgh, Scotland. And you are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And in the Viewpoints section, sustaining a democratic republic means putting in work each day. After the 1787 Constitutional Convention, American socialite Elizabeth Willing Powell asked Benjamin Franklin whether the founding leaders had just created a monarchy or a republic. Franklin famously answered, "A republic if you can keep it." As Americans celebrate our nation's 250th anniversary, those words provide us with an excellent reminder of how to think about American freedom on this important milestone. America's democratic experiment was a radical choice, and it's a privileged opportunity that we must work every day to preserve. The founders rejected the idea of creating a new monarchy and instead chose a democratic form of government, a republic, which entitles citizens to vote and empowers representatives elected by those citizens to govern according to the laws of the nation. They also notably rejected direct democracy, which would allow citizens to vote on every decision, an unwieldy option they considered could resist in mob rule in which the powerful could take away the rights of the less powerful. Liberty was only possible in an empire of laws and not of men, as John Adams wrote in April 1776. Thoughts on government. The framers knew what a privilege it would be to live in a nation where power is given to the people, where the central principle is liberty, and where the national identity is our shared democratic values. They understood that freedoms of worship, speech, and much more would be possible only under a system of laws that gave voice to the people and the representatives. They knew that an undemocratic leader unwilling to submit the rule of law could subject citizens to the whims of the few rather than protect the rights endowed by their creator, that a structure built on the unrestrained power of one individual or family could lead to tyranny. Those who chose to come to America fleeing religious or other persecutions knew the importance of independence from such representation. For those who endured the wanton brutality of slavery, disenfranchisement, or second-class citizenship, it would regrettably be decades or centuries until they would taste the goodness of freedom in this nation. But they too eventually came to experience living under a government the people selected, with a guarantee of rights and with protection of the rule of law. Our founders knew that maintaining our democratic republic would be a challenge, that it wouldn't be self-sustaining without vigilance and self-correcting mechanisms to protect our democracy. They gave citizens the power to choose leaders and who would govern democratically. They gave courts, legislators, and executives the authority to check and balance power to ensure that none of them accumulated unduly outsized control. And they articulated the freedoms that all people should enjoy so that those denied rights had an original document to anchor their claims. Over the last 2.5 centuries, women and men have fought to shape our nation, correct its shortcomings, and protect it from enemies, foreign and domestic, thus choosing liberty time and time again. We owe a huge debt of gratitude to each of those who chose to defend our republic and its freedoms over any other goal. Sustaining a democratic republic requires citizens to understand, commit to, and defend the principles of our nation every day. It requires us to put our nation before our diverse personal, political, ideological, or ethnic identities, recognizing that a strong democratic republic is exactly what will allow us to live in our diversity, protected from a state telling us what to believe, think, or say. Miraculously, we have maintained our democratic republic for centuries, and the challenge that Franklin foreshadowed remains. On the 4th of July, we honored those who, throughout American history, have shaped and defended our republic and freedom. And now it's our turn. We must make the daily choice to live up to the democratic values that are foundational to our country. We must embrace the privilege of living in a free nation where all people are guaranteed equal rights under the Constitution. And we must accept the challenge of defending our nation's democratic ideals against partisanship, corruption, and self-serving rules. Our founders knew the dangers of facing our young democratic republic and what it would take to defend our freedom. Let us honor their courage by working to keep it. And in opinion, be careful with that baseball cap from Matt Boyle, Buffalo Sports. Oh, the photo is of Matt Boyle of Buffalo sporting a Dodgers cap. I decided to wear a Boston Red Sox cap on Monday, June 29th. I floated the idea to the hive mind on Facebook and got loads of comments with varying advice. Why that particular day? Well, if you don't follow baseball, on the preceding Sunday, the Sox had accomplished the unthinkable, the improbable feat of sweeping a 4-game series with the Yankees. The basement-dwelling Sox had posted 3 decisive wins and a series-ending 1-run decision, much to the chagrin and consternation of Yankee fans the world over. My real focus here, the politics and emotional power of baseball caps. I'm a fan of baseball. I have the cap of every MLB team and some minor league teams, including multiple Bison caps. I grew up in New York City, and my parents also loved baseball and took me to both Mets and Yankee games. This is a rarity in New York City. But back to caps. The caps are the battle helmets on the front line of all the rivalries. It is well known that there are only 2 groups of fans, Yankee fans and everyone else. As Kansas City Royals fans, who they are fans of, and they'll simply reply, the Royals, and whoever is playing the Yankees that day. Why? Well, the Yankees have won 27 World Series titles, and you only need to be around a Yankee fan for barely a hot New York minute before they let you know that fact. The Yankees haven't won a title since 2009, but by their calculation, that means something is terribly amiss with the universe. By their fans' conservative estimation, by 2026, the Yankees should collectively have won 42 sets of World Series rings. The die-hard Yankee fan will begrudgingly admit that between 2010 and 2025, they might have lost 1 World Series, probably to the Dodgers. Even the Yankees are entitled to a bad year now and again. I wore the Red Sox cap on an early morning shopping trip to the East Aurora Tops, which has a disproportionate number of Sox fans per capita by my casual observation. I had 0 Yankee fan encounters or confrontations. It's all good. I've had confrontations initiated by my cap choices with Yankee fans in the past, and will have confrontations initiated by Yankee fans well into the future. A Sox cap to them is like a red cape to a bull. Other caps have their meanings. If you wear a cap of a franchise that has been losing for many decades, baseball fans of that team bond with you instantaneously, and all the other fans think your loyalty is commendable, even cute. Wearing the hat of a really bad team offends no one. It's your cross to bear. But wearing a Yankees or a Dodgers cap will upset most other fans. Mets cap draw derision as do Astros caps, but for different reasons. If you know, you know. Your safest bet in Western New York, if you want to avoid conflict and contempt, is a middling Midwestern team cap St. Louis, Cincinnati, or Minnesota. However, don't wear these caps in the Midwest unless you're really a fan of said team. Midwesterners take their baseball and baseball rivalries very seriously. Baseball caps are political, and wearing a baseball cap is walking into a minefield of emotions representing family traditions and moments of joy, sadness, and trauma. Bottom line, baseball cap PTSD is very real. And in everybody's column, letter from reader, legislators should pass New York Health Act. As a fourth-year medical student who plans to devote my career to health care and the needs of fellow New Yorkers, I was inspired to see the Buffalo News address the insurance crisis precipitated by federal cuts to the Affordable Care Act and Medicaid. Such cuts affect the most vulnerable among us, compounding already widespread health disparities, threatening the lives and well-being of too many of our neighbors and communities. As your editorial asserts, however, such intolerable precarity need not continue. Indeed, it is within our power to reduce and eliminate it now and in the future. We simply have to pass and implement the New York Health Act. I urge our state legislators to do exactly that. Then Governor Kathy Hochul can protect her beloved hometown and all the New Yorkers by signing it into law. Based on decades of careful analysis, this is no pie-in-the-sky fantasy, nor a tax and spend drain on the coffers of New York and its citizens. The evidence is there for all to see, compiled and available on the Campaign for New York Health's website. Implementation of the act would relieve local governments and school districts of huge budgetary obligations, lower local taxes, stimulate investments in our communities while providing all New Yorkers with medical, dental, vision, hearing aids, and long-term care without copays or deductibles. Paid for by fair, progressive taxes, 95% of New Yorkers would pay less for such expanded coverage than they currently do, and employers would see their contributions reduced as well. And this letter from Dylan Wong of Buffalo. And in the economy news, Trump accounts launch. Critics say low-income Americans might not see much benefit. After months of fanfare, President Donald Trump's administration launched its flagship Cradle to Adulthood investment program, Trump Accounts, on Saturday as the U.S. begins celebrations marking the 250th anniversary of its independence. Trump Accounts will provide U.S. citizens born between 2025 and 2028 a government-funded investment account of $1,000 that families can build on. Some critics say the accounts will not do much to lower-income families who lack substantial disposable income to contribute. The $1,000 federal contribution at birth helps remove the barrier of having nothing to start with, which has historically been one of the biggest obstacles to saving, says Andy Blocker, head of policy, regulatory, and government relations at financial services firm Edward Jones. If by year end more families have a clear on-ramp to begin saving and investing for their children's financial futures, that is success. While supporters hail Trump Accounts as a way to encourage investing from an early age, some policy experts question whether it will significantly narrow wealth gaps, arguing that returns will depend largely on families' ability to make regular contributions and on decades of sustained market gains. Government handouts will have a long track record of failing to lift people out of poverty, and there's little reason to think that this one will be different, said Adam Michael, Director of Tax Policy Studies at Washington-based libertarian think tank, the Cato Institute. He said employer matching contributions are likely to be concentrated at large companies. The real benefit lands on families who already have steady jobs and the capacity to save. About 3.6 million children were born in the United States in 2025, according to provisional data from the CDC. While only U.S. citizens born during Trump's second administration will receive the $1,000 government contribution, Americans can open a Trump account for their children under age 18 with a valid Social Security number. Last year, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent set off a political firestorm when he said the accounts may one day allow the government to privatize the Social Security retirement program. After his comments drew fire from Democratic lawmakers, he said the administration was committed to protecting Social Security. The Treasury Department is overseeing the program with brokerage Robinhood and custodian bank BNY acting as administrators. The accounts are free to open, and parents, family members, employers, and charitable organizations can contribute up to $5,000 on a pre-tax basis annually. Contributions are automatically invested in a low-cost index fund designed for long-term growth. Account holders take control when they turn 18, at which point they can withdraw the funds or continue investing. Gains will be taxed on withdrawal. And thousands protest Germany's far-right AfD. Thousands protested against Germany's far-right AfD and blocked roads to its annual conference in the eastern city of Erfurt on Saturday, where the party re-elected the two leaders who have overseen its rise as a national force. Protesters from unions, civil society groups, and left-leaning parties gathered as large numbers of police, including reinforcements from across Germany, were deployed ahead of the AfD's two-day conference. AfD stands for Alternative for Germany. Watched by police in riot gear, protesters sat in rows to block highways and roads leading to the convention center where the meeting is being held. Police estimated around 15,000 people joined demonstrations in and around the eastern city. The opening speeches mocked and lambasted the protesters as anti-democratic. And in briefs, President Donald Trump said in an interview with Axios on Saturday that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asked him for a meeting at the White House and that it could take place as early as next week after the NATO summit in Turkey. And Paul Pelosi, husband of former U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi, faces a misdemeanor hit-and-run charge after a vehicle that he was driving struck a parked car Friday in California, the Napa County Sheriff's Office said on Saturday. The Sheriff's Office said no alcohol was detected when Pelosi was tested. Venezuela. The death toll from Venezuela's deadly twin quakes rose to 2,954. The Venezuelan Information Ministry reported on Saturday. The total number of injured rose to 16,592, while the number of homeless stood at 16,309. And in China, China said Saturday it launched a new Coast Guard patrol east of Taiwan, drawing a sharp response from Taipei after a task force last month off the island's coast caused alarm in some western capitals. Taiwan's government condemned the new patrol, saying it was an illegal expansion of power in violation of international law and a disruption of regional stability. And in India withdrew an order imposing limits on gas suppliers as supply of liquefied natural gas has resumed from the Middle East, it said in a notification issued on Saturday. India invoked emergency measures in March to divert gas supplies from non-priority sectors to key users. And you are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And the Week in Review, Justice upholds U.S. birthright citizenship. The Supreme Court on Tuesday rejected President Donald Trump's attempt to restrict birthright citizenship in the United States, a right long woven into the fabric of American society, scuttling one of his top priorities in his crackdown on immigration. In a 6-3 ruling authored by conservative Chief Justice John Roberts, the justices decided Trump's directive violated the U.S. Constitution's 14th Amendment that confers citizenship to those born in the United States who are subject to the jurisdiction thereof. They upheld the lower court's decision that blocked Trump's executive order that directed U.S. agencies not to recognize the citizenship of children born in the U.S. if neither parent is an American citizen or legal permanent resident, also called a green card holder. And the Supreme Court refused Monday to let President Donald Trump fire Federal Reserve Board member Lisa Cook, preserving the independence of the central bank. A day later, the court declined to let Trump remove a government's top copyright official, Shira Perlmutter, for now. The Supreme Court again struck down campaign spending limits Tuesday, rejecting federal restrictions on coordinated spending between political parties and their candidates on free speech grounds. And the Supreme Court cleared the way Tuesday for states to impose restrictions on transgender student athletes, upholding laws in West Virginia and Idaho that ban them from female sport teams. And pop star Taylor Swift and Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce were set to marry in an all-night affair Friday at Madison Square Garden in New York. Swift and Kelce, both 36, released no details about the ceremony that required guests to sign non-disclosure agreements. The couple started dating in 2023 after Kelce attended Swift's Era Tour concert. And Serena Williams, 44, played her first Grand Slam match since the 2022 U.S. Open on Tuesday after she was given a wild card berth to Wimbledon. She fell 6-3, 6-7, 6-3 in a 2-hour, 22-minute match against Australia's Maya Joint. That denied Harmony Tan, who upset Williams in the first round of the 2022 event in London, the opportunity for a Wimbledon rematch with Williams. And Netflix partnered with artificial intelligence firm 11 Labs to recreate late actor Gene Wilder's voice for the reality competition series Wonka's The Golden Ticket. The streamer said Tuesday Wilder, who played the title character in the original 1971 Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory film, died in 2016 at age 83. And in the Guthrie case, federal investigators deemed that all 3 kidnapping-related messages that surfaced in news media reports about the disappearance of Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie's mother, 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, fake communications, an FBI official told Reuters on Tuesday. And in the e-edition plus, concentration of wealth. Personal finance site ranks richest suburbs in the United States. 8 of the 10 most affluent suburbs in America sit in 3 states, California, New York, and Texas. A new ranking of the nation's wealthiest suburbs, as measured by household income, finds much of America's wealth concentrated in a few metropolitan areas, including New York City, Houston, Dallas, and San Francisco. The wealthiest suburb is Scarsdale in New York's Westchester County, with an average household income of $612,591 in 2024, according to an analysis released June 1st by the personal finance site MoneyLion. The Westchester suburb of Rye dropped to 3rd in the annual ranking with an income of $428,806. Last year, it placed 2nd. MoneyLion ranked the nation's 50 most affluent suburbs by household incomes as measured in the 2024 American Community Survey. The ranking covers cities of at least 5,000 households that qualify as suburbs of larger cities. The commonalities are that no 2 suburbs are alike, but the cities in this ranking share some features in common. Many are on the water or near it. Several are college towns. Affluent suburbs tend to sit a good distance from the urban center, but close enough for a sane commute. You're looking at better schools. You're looking at limited housing supply, said Rudri Patel, certified financial expert at MoneyLion. Home prices tend to run high in suburbs filled with high earners. Patel noted wealthy suburbs also can be magnets for white-collar crime. Where you see affluence, you also see risk of identity theft and wire fraud and potentials for scam. The MoneyLion ranking considers mean household incomes, which could be skewed by the ultra-rich. Other rankings looked at median incomes, which are often lower. By median income, the wealthiest U.S. city is Sammamish, Washington, a Seattle suburb, according to 2025 U.S. News Analysis. The median household income in Sammamish is $238,750. Some wealthy suburbs with fewer than 5,000 households were too small for the MoneyLion ranking. The top 10, here are the mini profiles of the 10 wealthiest U.S. suburbs. Well, number 1, Scarsdale, New York, household income of $612,591, average home value at $1.7 million as of April 2026. Number 2, West University Place, Texas, which is a suburb of Houston. The average household income is $439,594, and our average home value is $1.7 million. Rye, New York, number 3, known for its waterfront. The average household income is $428,806, and the average home value is $2.4 million. Number 4, Los Altos, California, which is a suburb of San Jose, better known as part of the Silicon Valley. Average household income is $417,182, and average home value is $4.8 million. Number 5, Paradise Valley, Arizona, Phoenix suburb, known for golf resorts and spas. Average household income $408,000, and average home value is $3.7 million. Number 6 is University Park, Texas, which is a Dallas suburb. Average household income $407,250, and average home value $2.6 million. Number 7 is Alamo, California, a suburb of San Francisco. Average household income $401,000, and average home value is $2.6 million. Number 8 in this list, South Lake, Texas, a Dallas-Fort Worth suburb. Average household income $384,000, and average home value $1.3 million. Number 9 is McLean, Virginia, the District of Columbia's most affluent suburb, home to diplomats and spies. The average household income is $379,600. The average home value is $1.8 million. And number 10 of the top 10, Orinda, California, San Francisco suburb on the east of Berkeley. The average household income is $376,700, and the average home value is $2 million. And some other wealthy suburbs: Chicago, Boston, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Los Angeles, Seattle, and Birmingham, Alabama. And in humor, if looks could grill. Whenever I'm cooking with gas, which causes people who eat what I cook to have the same thing, I'm afraid I will not only burn the burgers, but will be blown into smithereens, after which I will rest in pieces. That's why I feel much safer now that I have a new grill, even though I had to reassemble part of it and ended up with a couple of screws left over. I put them in a container with my other loose screws. My wife, Sue, who does the inside cooking, agrees that we need a new grill so I could do the outside cooking, which doesn't measure up to hers because it's rare when anything I cook is well done. So we went to a home improvement store and bought a shiny appliance to replace the rusty contraption we had for years. To get the grill home, Sue and I would have to put it in the back of my car. Since I'm a cardiac patient who shouldn't lift anything heavier than a plate of hot dogs, and Sue is a cardiac patient who can lift 2 plates but shouldn't overdo it, we enlisted the help of Kyle, a young and personable store employee who looked strong enough to lift not only the grill but my entire car. Unfortunately, the grill wouldn't fit. The hatch of my SUV was all the way up, but the cargo area wasn't wide enough for Kyle, despite myriad maneuverings and much muttering, to jam the grill in. We didn't have this trouble with our old grill, I said, and this one isn't any bigger. No, said Sue, but your car was. She solved the mystery by noting that my new car is smaller than the one I had when we got our previous grill. I'm going to get a screwdriver, Kyle said. You mean the kind with the vodka and orange juice? Get me one too, I said. Kyle came back with a tool, solid, not liquefied, that enabled him to disassemble one side of the grill so the whole thing could be slipped into the back of the car. You will have to put it back together, said Kyle, who handed me the screws that needed to be screwed back in when I attached the side of the grill. Back at home, I managed, with Sue's help, to reassemble the side of the grill. But the grease cup, which collects drippings, wouldn't fit into the bottom of the assembly tray, which I brought back to the store. The holder is on backwards, said Kyle, who fixed the problem and sent me on my way. The next issue was the igniter battery, which I put on backward before correcting my mistake. It didn't matter because the tank, which I used on our old grill, was out of gas. Back I went to the store where Kyle got me a new full tank. Now you're all set, he said. Happy grilling. For all your help, you're invited to come over for a barbecue, I said, and I'll give you a screwdriver. Easy on the orange juice. And in MLB, Chapman set strikeout record. Aroldis Chapman broke the record for the most strikeouts by a reliever en route to his 17th save as the Boston Red Sox defeated the Los Angeles Angels 5-2 on Friday in Anaheim. Chapman opened the bottom of the ninth by striking out Denzer Guzman with a 99-mile-per-hour sinker for his 1,364th career strikeout, breaking the all-time reliever record previously held by Hoyt Wilhelm. Chapman then permitted 2 singles before inducing a game-ending double play grounder from Joe Adele. I feel very happy, very proud with what I've been able to accomplish, Chapman said through an interpreter. I just feel very satisfied right now. Chapman, in his 17th season, accomplished this feat in 890 games, while Wilhelm set the mark in 1,018 relief appearances over 21 seasons. And around the league, the Pirates, Pittsburgh placed left-hander Evan Sisk on the injured list with elbow inflammation. The 21-year-old is 1-0 with a 2.23 ERA and 32 appearances out of the bullpen this season. Colorado Rockies placed Tomoyuko Sugano on the injured list due to back spasms after the right-hander was scratched on Saturday. He went 4-0 in June, posting a 6.58 ERA. Texas Rangers activated right-hander Chris Martin's shoulder impingement from the IL and placed right-hander Jacob Junis hip impingement on the list. And Minnesota Twins Zebby Matthews left Saturday's game because of right foot laceration. The right-hander allowed 4 runs and 3 hits over 4 2/3 innings. And the Houston Astros demoted outfielders Jake Myers and Joey Loperfido to AAA Sugarland. And this week's World Cup scheduled July 9th, the quarterfinals, Morocco versus France, 4 p.m. Boston. And on July 9th, Monday's winners, 3 p.m. Los Angeles. July 11th, Sunday's winners, 5 p.m. Miami. And Tuesday's winners at 9 p.m. Kansas City. Semifinals the following week, July 14th and 15th, with the July 9th and 10th winners at 3 p.m. on the 14th in Dallas. And July 15th will be the July 11th winners at 3 p.m. This weekend's baseball scores: Pirates 7, Nationals 1, Tigers 3, Rangers 0, White Sox 3, Guardians 1, Mariners 11, Blue Jays 0, D-backs 4, Brewers 3, Orioles 8, Reds 5, Astros 10, Rays 8, Braves 14, Mets 3, Phillies 6 and Royals 1, Marlins 7, Athletics 2, Cardinals 3, Cubs 0, Twins 11, Yankees 4, Dodgers 3, Padres 0, Red Sox 8, Angels 1, Giants 6 to Rockies 4, Dodgers 3, Padres 0. You have been listening to a reading of articles and features from the July 5th, 2026 issue of the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News. We read from the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News every Sunday at noon. Your reader has been Elaine. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the front section of the Sunday Times. At 2 o'clock, we have the New York Times Opinion section. And at 3 o'clock, we have the New York Times Arts and Leisure section. Stay with us for these readings and more throughout the day. If you're listening to this publication online, you're probably using our website, a podcast player like Spotify or iTunes, a streaming service like Siro, or a smart speaker. Did you know that we now have a dedicated app that can be downloaded to any mobile device, like a smartphone or tablet, for free? App users can conveniently access our live stream and any episode of our podcast easier than ever. To download the app, just type NFRRS in the search window in the Apple App Store or in the Google Play Store. Contact us anytime if you have any questions by calling 716-821-5555, extension 5. Thank you. You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. As of this year, our agency has broadcast more than 300,000 hours of radio readings. Volunteer radio readers read newspapers, magazines, and books to area people who are blind or have a print disability, who are provided reading radios. Radio Reading's broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. Radio Reading broadcasts from studios at 1199 Harlem Road in suburban Buffalo. Please let others know about Radio Reading. It's your service. For more information on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, call 716-821-5555. The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability, which makes reading, holding a book,